All right, we're back. Welcome back to the Innovator, the Imitator, and the Idiot podcast. I am Kyle Wong with the Integrity First team at Pikes Peak Dream Homes Realty.
And I'm Corey Martin with Bank of England Mortgage here in Denver, Colorado.
Thank you guys for joining us again. This is our 5th episode. I want to thank everybody who's new or everybody, especially that is returning. First and foremost, just wanted to give a quick shout out. So Dansby Designs, if you guys didn't know, just a little bit of insight on me. I am a member on the board of directors of the Castle Rock Artist Cooperative. And that's super cool because it's a great organization that supports local art and supports local artists. But one of our members and newest board members made this for me just out of the kindness of their hearts. And so if you can't see it, it shows the innovator, the imitator, and the idiot, and it's beautiful and we love it.
Yeah, we love it.
Speaking of which, actually, I don't think we've ever talked about why we call it that.
Yeah.
Should we go through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to give people a little bit of background on how we got here. So, a while ago, before we started this podcast, we had the idea to start the podcast, but didn't know what the name was, knew what we wanted the podcast to be about, who it would be for, but still, didn't know what the name would be. As we were doing our research, I came across a bit, this one line as an agent, a popular, real estate agent on YouTube and social media. He was talking about the market, and what he said was, the masses listen to the masses. Ryan Serhant is his name. I should probably give him his credit. He said, the masses listen to the masses. And then he goes on to quote Warren Buffett. In every market, there is an innovator, an imitator, and an idiot.
And an idiot. Yeah, and it's true because I think it applies to recessionary periods, is what he was talking about initially, but it really applies to most real estate scenarios. So, you have the first guy to go through, to make all the mistakes, to try things and fail, but he's the innovator. Yeah. He's the first guy to start it. He's the first guy to try. And then there's the imitator, which, it kind of has a negative connotation, but truthfully, copying what other people have done successfully can be a really good thing. Mm-hmm. So he's the guy who, is kind of drafting behind the other guy who learns from his mistakes, who does what he does well. And then there's a third guy who's just like, screw both of them. I'm not listening to either of them. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. Yeah. I don't really care. And so we kind of thought, when it comes to real estate, we want to make sure that you're getting the best knowledge and learning from our mistakes. Yeah. We want you to know what we do well. We want you to know what we've seen done well. And we don't want you to be this guy.
The idiot.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you think about it, the innovator is a person who is changing the game, right? They're the person who's introducing new products to the market. They're the person who is introducing new processes, new systems, new ways of doing things. They are the shaker-upper, if you will, right? But with that comes a lot of pain and a lot of cost. Right. Whereas the imitator, while they may not necessarily get the credit for introducing the new idea to the market, they won't have the same pain and cost that the innovator had to deal with in just kind of floating off their coattails, right? Oh, I guess now we're meeting via Zoom, so, or now everybody's meeting virtually. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a company called Zoom, right? Everybody's I'm going to take this concept that Google Meets has had around for a long time.
Or Skype.
Or Skype. Anybody. Or FaceTime.
Yeah.
Right? And we're gonna build a company off of it. We're not gonna have the same costs that maybe Google Meets has, that Skype had. But we'll be able to still turn a profit in this market because we've been able to imitate another product in the market.
Yeah.
And then there's the idiot who's like, you know what? Actually, why can't I just still come through and meet face to face during this pandemic?
Yeah. There's always that guy. Like, we did it this way before. Like, I know we did it this way before, but this is the new age.
Exactly. That's who the idiot is. The idiot is the person, and this isn't to say, we aren't trying to talk down on anyone or make anyone feel bad, but this is to get everybody to maybe be a little more self-reflective and ask yourself, are you the innovator, the imitator, or the idiot?
Yeah.
And the idiot is the person who, if we're talking about the same scenario, the idiot is the person who just refuses to change. refuses to take
Right.
new information and adapt the way that they operate with the new information. So you don't have to be Albert Einstein or be the smartest guy. You don't have to be the smartest guy to necessarily be the innovator or the imitator. You just have to be willing to try something new and understand the new information that's out there. The idiot is the one who doesn't take that new information and use it.
It really doesn't take a genius to be successful.
Right.
I've learned that particularly in real estate. I'm not saying anything, but after having been around top producers, you realize, and I'm partially joking, but really it doesn't take somebody that's just a super smart genius that works 24/7, like literally all the time. It just takes somebody that does the work. And another good example I think of when it comes to the imitator in a good way is Apple.
Yes.
None of what they did was revolutionary when it came to products. And people say that all the time. People with Android phones in particular, they say, well, we've had this for longer. We've done fingerprint readers and like touchscreens and this feature and that feature. And it's like, that's true and that's great. But what Apple did was they took these concepts that existed, things that were new but not refined, and they shaved it down. They made it pretty. They made it user-friendly, and all they did was market that, right? Because at the end of the day, to sell something, you need something that people like and that people want. Yeah. And they'll buy it.
That's it.
And so, Apple has done that very well, whereas other companies, and maybe this is kind of general, but HP and stuff like that, they went and did a lot of things first, and they failed a lot, and they fell a lot. And Apple kind of came right behind and took products and ideas from HP and other companies, and they just made it better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the story behind the idiots. That is the story behind the innovator, the imitator, and the idiot, how we got our name. I wanted to talk a little bit more about some horror stories since we are in the month of October. It's spooktacular.
Oh, they're going to be spooky, that's for sure.
That is right. And I just really wanted to make sure that I said spooktacular on a podcast. I feel like that makes me important now.
I was going to pretend you didn't, but that's okay.
You're right.
Forever on the internet.
It's out there. Well, I think another thing that we have to get out there onto the internet, and this is not on our agenda. I'm throwing you a curveball here, Kyle, but I got to ask, what's your thoughts on candy corn?
Ooh, candy corn I know is very controversial, but growing up I didn't know that it was. I just thought either you liked it or you didn't.
Here it comes,
and
guys.
Truth be told, I'm not a big sweets guy personally, but do I dabble in a little candy corn? Yeah, I will. I don't know.
I knew it. I thought I knew so much about you. I really did. I knew where you're from. I knew where you went to school. All of that stuff. I thought I knew a lot
And now
about
this changes everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm assuming you're on the other side of the coin.
Well, thank you guys for watching the final episode of The Innovator, The Imitator, and The Idiot podcast.
It's been a great run. 5 whole episodes, man. But
no, so like you, I'm not a big sweets person, but candy corn not only is sweet, I don't understand my tongue cannot compute the flavors that are being sent to my brain.
It is an interesting flavor, and if I'm being completely honest, I don't think any of the colors are different flavors. It's literally just one flavor with 3 different colors. I'm pretty sure.
Are we breaking down the engineering behind candy corn right now? Because
we are going a little deep into this. Yeah, that's true. But
yeah, so talking about some almost said spooktacular stories again.
Please so.
We've got a fright fest of real estate transactions for you. I'm going to keep them coming for you, brother.
Oh, man.
But what we wanted to do was really talk to you guys a little bit more about things to be wary of when you're getting into a real estate transaction, particularly from the buyer's side. What we wanted to do was obviously in the theme of, or going with the theme of the month of October, scary movies, right? What are some things that, some buyers are scared of or should be scared of? You should be wary of. One of the things that I think that people aren't afraid of, but they should be, is the eligibility of their property that they're looking to buy on, right? The eligibility of lending on the property that they're looking to buy. And by that, I mean, you know, when I talk to a lot of first-time home buyers, they are concerned about if they have a good enough credit score to purchase, if they have down payment that is enough to purchase, if they make enough money. And those are certainly important things. But another part that is really, really important that you should be aware of is, can I get a mortgage on the property that I want to buy?
Yeah.
Will someone lend me money for this property? I just had a situation with a buyer that I was working with. We got them pre-approved. We went through all of the pre-approval process. You know, this is a great buyer who, you know, really responsive, gave me all of their information right away, and answered the phone when I called, and I answered their phone calls. We had a great working relationship.
1 in a million.
Right. Except for all of the people that are watching this podcast, because now they're going to know how important it is to do those things.
That's true.
So as we've gotten the pre-approval letter out, and they go and get under contract on a property that he's really, really excited about. As we start working on the contract, working on the loan, we come to find out that the property is not eligible to maintain a mortgage on. For several reasons, won't get into all of them. But for several reasons, this property presents too much risk to us as a mortgage lender, and therefore we won't be able to lend on it. And it's, you know, it's pretty universal. Nobody's going to lend on this property.
Right. That's a tough conversation to have, though. That's
a really, really tough conversation to have. And so this is a thing that it doesn't happen often, but it is something that you need to be aware of. And I would recommend, how do we avoid this situation? Well, you call your mortgage loan officer and you tell them about the property that you're looking to go under contract on, and you allow that mortgage loan officer a few days to maybe do some research before you submit your submit your offer. From there, that gives everybody a little bit more time, and you may not necessarily get that property, but it's better to know that on the front end than the back end.
Right. And as the agent, I'll just say this, that's actually what I do a lot of times. Not only does it save myself time, which is valuable, but it saves the client's time, because if I see a property that I think, you know, especially those sold as is, or, you know, seller vacated years ago, that kind of thing, sometimes you'll see those up in the mountains where people just leave homes and then they kind of stop taking care of them.
Right.
You know, it saves me time to reach out to my lender and say, hey, what do you think about this? Can you look into it a little bit? And I'm not sending every single property, but just those that I really want to make sure, like, is this even viable for my client? Does it make sense for my client? Like, do you really think a loan is actually going to apply to this property? So that's, you know, if your agent's not doing that for you, which they should be, yeah, definitely reach out to your lender and just say, hey, you know, I'm not really sure about this one. Kind of looks like it could use a new roof based on what I've seen. Or, hey, there's like a tree growing through the middle of the house. Like, what do you think about that?
Right.
Maybe that's a good conversation to have. Maybe they have photos from like 1992. Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. And the thing here to keep in mind is that this does delay the process.
Yeah.
It absolutely delays the process from when you find a property that you think is yours, your dream home, to when you actually get the keys for it. It may add 3, 4, 5 extra days to that process.
Yeah.
And to that, I'd say worth it.
I'd 100% agree.
Absolutely worth it.
Sometimes I will even show, you know, of course, time willing, I will even show clients homes like that are sometimes unrealistic or that are very dilapidated to the point where they just don't want it, just because, you know, I want to show them, hey, here's why this house is selling for this price in this area in this condition. Because conditions matter in a home.
Yeah.
You know, you can have the same home built in the same year, built on the same land, almost.
Right.
But the conditions of the homes matter, because if you smoke in a home and it just reeks, it's really going to devalue a home.
Yep.
If you have a roof that's like sinking in and leaking, or you have a foundation issue, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
You want to know that before you go and look at homes, and you want your clients to be educated about why it's priced the way that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that was my spooktacular. I'm sorry, brother. That was my
oh my gosh.
That was my boo story.
Oh my gosh.
Boo. Have you, from the agent side of things, have you run into anything that, buyers should be scared of, beyond, the condition of the property?
Honestly, as a buyer in particular, man, it can be very daunting, and that's why I think both of our roles are so important. I don't have any specific stories necessarily, but kind of a general rule is, look out for bad agents. Look out for people with bad reputations, with bad practices, with bad reviews, or somebody that you just kind of get that feeling about, And of course, I'm not saying just question everything and well, why this and why that, but have a healthy kind of
distrust.
Ask questions and seek to understand kind of what's going on if that's what you want to do as the buyer, because you should know what a pre-approval is. You should be educated on, why they chose these numbers or these homes. Talk to your lender, hey, how did you come up with these numbers? What is my debt to income ratio, and why or how does that affect my financial capabilities? Or ask your agent, what's your experience, why this area, all kinds of things like that. Because if you work with a bad agent or a bad lender, it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. And unfortunately, with the way things have been the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of that. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So definitely vet the people that you have representing you, because I was thinking about it like this: as your real estate agent, very similarly as your lender, it's like your tax guy or your lawyer. We are people that have your best interests in mind, and we represent you, and we should act accordingly. But not everybody takes that responsibility and that role as seriously as we do. And that's unfortunate because it reflects in their work. But that being said, I do have a kind of a lighter story. It's not necessarily like a horror story in the ways of somebody lost $1 million or whatever like that. But so one time I had I was going in with another agent on a listing in Colorado Springs, and it was by the Broadmoor, and it was a beautiful house in a beautiful gated community. I think initially it was listed for like $4.25 million.
Wow,
so 4.25.
Beauty.
And it was a beautiful house, like 10,000 square feet. There was like a guest house, and it had the most beautiful views of all of Colorado Springs. But I swear, so just some quick context. I was responsible for all the showings. So anytime somebody would book a showing, I would go meet the agent there, meet the clients there, and I would unlock the doors, undo the security system, because it was like it was a big house with a lot of locks, and it was those fancy ones where you have to like pull up, twist the lock, and So, and there were like realistically 35 locks on the house.
Good grief.
Windows everywhere, so you had to make sure everything was closed. And luckily it wasn't, it was vacant, and there was no like furniture there. So I didn't have to worry about anything being stolen necessarily. But oh my gosh, having to go through and make sure all the doors were locked and unlocked, making sure the whole security, because it had three separate alarm systems.
They were safe.
Yeah. Oh, they were very safe. The owners
of this property were very, very safe.
Well, luckily they were gone, so they were very, very safe.
Even more safe.
But here's where it gets kind of funny. So one night we have a showing. It goes pretty good. They come, they tour the house. I unlock everything beforehand, obviously. I walk them through, talk about all the amazing features, and they head out. We say our goodbyes, and I lock up. I head out, and next thing I know, I'm getting a call from the owner. And it was like a bunch of freaking out and like, what the heck? Like the alarm's going off, like what is going on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go check. Because again, I thought, shoot, I messed up somewhere. Like I forgot to lock something. I forgot to set something, whatever. But she always gets a call when the alarm goes off. And so I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? I remember I always double checked. I jimmy the door, I try to make sure that everything's all set and secure. Next thing I know, I go back and it's late. And one thing I forgot to mention was, I swear this house was haunted. Like, you ever just get that feeling? Like nothing moved and no lights flicked on or off. But you're not I got that feeling.
Like somebody's there with you.
Oh, yeah. And it was terrifying, man. And so this was the first time I get that call. And, of course, I'm heading straight to the house. And it was my first time going there alone at at night.
I don't
And
know.
so I tell the gate guard, I'm like, hey, like, what's going on with the alarm? And they're like, we don't know, like, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm like, oh, shoot. Did you see anybody? Did anything happen? Like, whatever. And they're like, no, we didn't see anything. So I pull up and I go over the driveway and I'm going down and it's dark. And
Dun, 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 dun.
first of all, lights were on. And I'm like,
dun, 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 dun.
ooh, none of the lights should be on. I turn them all off. Front door isn't just ajar, it's open. Like,
Dun, 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 dun.
And it's a classic. I think this was just about a year ago. I think it was October or something.
Kyle,
The story just gets better.
Everything in my body
Oh my
is
gosh.
saying, like, all of my ancestors are telling me to run right
Like,
now.
get out of there, man. I know, seriously.
You know how this movie ends.
It felt like I was in a movie because I'm like, it's October, it's cold, the wind is like howling, like I'm getting mystery calls about like what's going on, like I swear I locked up, but apparently I didn't.
Oh,
And
man.
so I'm just thinking of all the possibilities, because at the time I'm like, I'm going to lose a client right here. Like, this is bad. That's all I could think of until I step in the house. And dude, just the chills go through my body, and I'm like, oh no. I want to do as much investigating as I can, but I'm like, shiver me timbers, like this is not this is not good, man. And so I'm walking through and I'm doing a little investigative work, and I walk through to see if anything else. I check the alarm, I disable it because it's going crazy, and I go downstairs, disable the second alarm system, and then I see another door, like the back door. I try to see, like, did somebody come in, go out, like take anything, whatever, and the basement back door was also unlocked. And I was like, that's weird, because if I missed a lock, it would just be one, right?
Yeah.
You would think. And the front door was kind of finicky, so I always had to like triple check. And next thing I know, man, I go through, I lock everything back up, and then I get another call, and she's like, is everything all good? And I'm like, yep, nobody's broken in or anything, right? And I'm like, nope. To the best of my knowledge, I mean, I don't know what the heck is going on. But here's the thing about that. It doesn't necessarily trip if a door is unlocked or opened. It trips through the motion sensors, that alarm. So that's why I'm like, if I left the door unlocked, it swings open, nobody knows. I come back the next time, I'm like, oh shoot, the door is open. Still not good. But somebody or something had been in there.
My brother, you live to tell the tale. The first minority to survive a horror movie. Usually we out first, dog. You made it all the way through the end.
I know, solo too.
This is either that or this is a really long horror movie, and like, you know,
That's just the beginning.
yeah.
Wait for the sequel. No, but that, it's one of those things that when I tell the story, it doesn't sound that scary, but I feel like when you're there in it,
No,
it's a little spooky.
anytime you're in a place and you close the doors and the lights are off, and then you come back to that place,
They should probably stay that way, right?
and if it's not that way, it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
You know, I was trying to work in another Halloween reference in there. Didn't come to me. I'll leave one in the comments for you guys, though. I'll make sure.
I'm not very good with that stuff, but that's my piece. I know that's not necessarily related, but beautiful listing, terrible night.
Yeah,
That was scary.
Yeah, that was that's super scary. But no, I mean, I think that's that just kind of super scary. Never want to be in that position.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I would have lost a client that day. You know, because you know how it turns out for me, right?
Oh,
you know what's
say
in
no more.
You know what I'm saying?
Say
You
no
know what's
more.
going through my mind.
I've
so.
seen Get Out. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, all jokes aside, though, I mean, those are some of the realities of being in real estate, because like I said, that was at night. I think she called at probably 8:30.
Yeah.
So I'm at the house. I was in Denver at the time. That was in Colorado Springs. So
Yeah.
I'm driving all the way down. I mean, that was a 45, 50-minute drive.
Yeah.
And then I was there for probably 30, 45 minutes just to make sure. And so, you know, you doing that on a night, like
Yeah.
on a weekday, I mean, that's not a small thing.
No,
that's just kind of what we do as professionals is when we're taking care of listings, when we make that agreement with somebody and say, hey, I'm going to look after you, I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah.
You have to look after them and you have to take care of it.
Yeah.
And as you know, I know we're kind of joking here, but as spooky as that was, and as not fun as it is to go do that at night, you know, that's what we do.
That's
right?
your job. Is to
Because
do
you as the seller,
stuff.
yeah, you as the seller shouldn't be responsible for that. Like when I signed on with you, I told you what I was going to do, and I'm going to fulfill that.
Yeah.
That's all. Just a little humble brag right there.
That's right. No, but I think that kind of goes back to what you're talking about as far as like, you know, cautionary tales or horror stories and the horror of hiring someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind. Right. Hiring a bad agent. You know, what that looks like is, hey, all of the alarms in my empty house are going off right now. And I don't know what's going on. You were the last person there. Can you go check?
Right. And she was out of state at the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like she can drive by and just be like, I'll check in.
No, that's not an option for this seller. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, a bad agent would be like, tough.
Decline.
You know? Yeah. Sorry. Have you seen Get Out, lady? You know? No, you know what I mean? That's it. Yeah. So, you know, that's why it's so important to interview your agent and to make sure that, again, that they're acting for with your best interest in mind. Another cautionary tale is a person, just had a transaction where the agent was more of a transactional agent, not necessarily someone who is advising their client in their best interest.
Yeah.
The agent was, you know, simply presenting information, and whatever their client wanted to do is what they did.
Were they on your side or the other side?
The other side.
Oh, okay.
So that's really tough, though, right? Because this is a person, you know, the client is a little bit older.
Oh man!
You know, not necessarily able to go and do all of the research that they need to do to figure out what are the pros and cons of each scenario, right? And so, man, that stinks, right? That's a cautionary tale. That's a horror story for that client, for that person, true. Because now they have to essentially be a real estate agent themselves. Yeah, they have to have all the knowledge of a real estate agent. Yeah. You know,
that's
without
the biggest
actually having a
investment.
license.
Yeah, that's their biggest investment, and they're trusting somebody, they're paying somebody to be responsible and have the know-how to do that job.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate, man, because I think about that scenario. I think about my scenario where, you know, what if she had a family there and she had kids and like she's got all these responsibilities and can't be there, and I said no.
Yeah.
Or what if your client, you know, it could be well, I don't know how much worse it could be, but
right.
Like, you know, you have to be there for your client. You just do.
Yeah. It's I look at myself as a lawyer, truly. And we are going to court. And I am you know, going to get you out of jail, or you're going to jail. And if I don't do my job, you're going to jail. You know, I think that a lot of people gloss over the fiduciary duties that are listed in our contracts, or listed in your contracts and whatnot, and listed in, you know, or just like the understanding between a loan officer and their client. But that's the most important part, man.
Yeah, like that's not just legally, but ethically. Because for me personally, you know, I hold myself to a high moral standard, and it's very unfortunate to see that people can't even go to the bare minimum. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like your fiduciary responsibility to your client can legally be enforced. Ethically, you know, maybe not. You're going to be responsible to somebody else for that. But, you know, it's unfortunate to see that especially our disadvantageous groups like minorities or elderly or a lot of vets. I've seen that a lot where unfortunately, you know, lenders and agents will take advantage of these groups just simply because of their client's lack of education. Yeah. And I think that's where you need to step up even more. Right. When your client knows less, that's when you really have to step in and be like, here's what you need to know. Yeah. You know, because if I'm working with a pro, like, I don't know, let's just say I had a pro ex-real estate agent, current real estate investor, like, I'm just pretty much signing the papers for him or her. What am I really doing there? Yeah. You know, they know their stuff. Like, they know what they're talking about. I'm there to keep them current. But for our vets, for our minorities, racially or socioeconomically, like those are the people that we're really going to step up for, and that matters.
Yeah,
that really matters.
No, you're absolutely right, Kyle. I took a personal development and leadership class a few years ago, and one of the biggest things that I took away from it was, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a change maker, then you have to meet people where they're at.
Ooh.
They can be at the top of they can have all of the knowledge in the world. You got to meet them there and have a conversation that means a lot to them or is valuable to them. They can have no real estate knowledge whatsoever, right? You still got to meet them where they're at and be able to have a conversation that's productive for them. And I think that that's what we're doing here with this podcast, is looking to meet people where they're at, no matter where they're at, right?
Yeah.
If they are the innovator, we'll meet them there. If they are the imitator, we'll meet them there. And if they're an idiot, we'll meet you there too,
That's
brother.
true, man. That's true.
My name is Corey Martin with Bank of England Mortgage here in Denver, Colorado. If you have any questions about personal finance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm Corey Martin on Facebook, or Mortgage Consultant 5280 on Instagram.
I'm Kyle Wong with the Integrity First team at Pikes Peak Dream Homes Realty. I'm probably going to stop giving my Instagram because I actually changed my handle. So all the other ones up to here were Realtor Wong, which I thought was a little cheesy. Other people thought were cool, I guess. I changed it to Kyle Wong CO, just so people know first and last name, and then Colorado. Either way, you can find me on the links below. Check it out. I'll always keep them updated. But thank you so much for tuning in. See ya.
Peace.